Welcome back to the Team of One podcast. I'm Moe Choice, and in this episode, I spoke to Jessica Miller about three things: the importance of independence, caring about outcomes, and the balance between mindset and business fundamentals. Jessica shares her transition from corporate, the calculated risks she took, and how she's now embracing the solopreneurial journey. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Welcome to the Team of One podcast. Today we're joined by Jessica Miller. Jessica, who are you?
Well, I am a woman who's living outside of Boston right now. I'm also a growth strategist and profit expert that helps people uncover money that's already sitting in their business so they don't have to spend all day chasing clients and money. They can instead uncover the gold that they've worked so hard to create sitting right there for them.
Profit expert, eh? Huh? That means you're an expert at the subject of profit or making profit?
Both. Actually helping you make profit.
Okay, cool. Do you identify as a solopreneur?
I do identify as a solopreneur, sure.
Yeah, and how would you define solopreneur?
For me, I think it's someone who doesn't have a large team. I mean, I would define it maybe by not having a lot of W-2 employees. Like it's mainly just me who's a W-2. I work with a lot of different people that are contractors and flex employees, and I do consider them my team. But they're not part of my organization the way a W-2 employee is.
And W-2 for people who are not familiar?
In the US, when you are an employee of a company instead of a freelance worker or someone who's kind of agnostic in their client base, you have a W-2 form, and that basically kind of binds you contractually to the company.
Payroll.
Payroll, yes, exactly.
Got it. What's interesting is then we go into definition of team. You know, people say my team or part of my team. And I always thought about a team as we all have the same goal. Is that, and then it's like, well, if I'm a contractor, I wouldn't have the same goal as you.
Yes. And I think that's many times true. So when you're a contracted employee, your goals are the goals of the organization and the person that you report to usually. And when you're not contracted in that way, technically you have a different vantage point. But I actually think, for me personally, the way that I think of my team and the freelancers that are part of that is I really try to make them feel like they are part of the company, part of the results we're trying to create. Because in reality, whether they're a W-2 employee in your company or not, they are very much connected to and influence that result. And I think the more that they feel that and they feel that you care about them in that way, the more they will enjoy the work they're doing with you, work with you more, and actually help drive the results of your business. So I think it's a huge opportunity, both for the CEOs of companies and the owners. But I think if you're someone who is a freelancer and you're working with a lot of different people or organizations, I mean, I think the best things you could do to be visible on somebody's radar is actually care about their outcomes. I mean, it can only benefit you. They're going to do better. They're going to want to work with you. You're going to do better because they have the cash flow to pay you more. I just think it's like the recipe for a love fest.
Just care about the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. Care about the outcome and understand also what drives that revenue. I mean, I think a lot of times if you're an internal employee or a W-2, you kind of get to peer behind that curtain. And a lot of times solopreneurs, if they're working with freelancers, they don't share that. They're not sharing the vision. They're not talking about the ins and outs of the projects that people are working on and what that means for the bottom line or the impact they're having on their customer experience. And I think it's a missed opportunity.
I agree. I mean, I think the same holds true for W-2, though. I don't think that's
agreed.
Neither. Yeah. Yeah, that's all fair. Okay. A couple of ideas on solopreneurship. So, and we talked about this offline. If I'm not dependent on anyone, I think that's the prerequisite to solopreneurship. Meaning, if they leave, I'm not screwed. I think that's an important thing to think about. I think the other thing also is the only thing that matters is my selfish goals. Even if the contractor is helping me achieve my selfish goals, it's my selfish goal.
Correct.
Yeah, and
that's
I think
right.
if you have
Starts and ends with you.
Yeah, I think if we don't have independence and a selfish goal, I don't think we're solopreneurs. And then, you get people, it's like, can you hire someone? Can you bring a contractor? And then you go all the way to, can I not get a hairdresser if I'm a solopreneur? Like, how
Right.
many things do I have to do on my own? So I think that's quite interesting. But I think also payroll, I think, is probably not for solopreneurs either.
Mm.
Generally speaking, because I don't want payroll. I don't want to be dealing with the hassle of it, to be honest with you. It's the HR stuff and the rights and all this stuff. I'm just,
Yeah.
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 It's like, do what you want to do. At the end of the day, everyone's a volunteer. Everybody.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
So it's
Yeah.
like they can leave whenever they want, and I can tell them to leave whenever I want.
True.
Very selfish, I know, but okay. What obviously one of the reasons I was interested in talking to you when I came across your profile was you seemed very competent, and you seemed like you had a strong personal brand and a strong personality, which tells me usually, I mean, I don't mean this to sound offensive, but you could easily be a career woman. You could easily be in a top legal firm or a top consulting firm. Why did you decide this was better for you?
I think because of just what you said earlier. I like to make all the decisions. I had big dreams. I wanted to do something different, and the corporate structure that I was in, which was amazing. I was working for a pharmaceutical company. I actually have a pharmacy background and an MBA, and I was helped bringing these life-saving drugs all over the world, working with a lot of global teams. It was amazing. But to your point, there is a goal for a for-profit, pharmaceutical company, and you have a role within that organization. And although it's awesome, it's limiting in many ways. So for me, I wanted to do something bigger, and I just knew the structure wouldn't allow that. One of those pieces that is really important to me is my time and time freedom. I tend to be a person that likes to work very quickly. I get these bursts of energy. I always joke that I'm more like a flare. I'm not like a long distance runner. So when that kind of thing hits, I want to be able to do what I want to do. And that doesn't always fit into everybody's framework. So I wanted to do something bigger. And that's why I went out on my own. I think as someone who's in corporate for a long time, I had this belief that solopreneurs and entrepreneurs were this special snowflake, and I wasn't one of them. Like, I was in corporate America, and this was my path. And so I really stood on that cliff for a long time, trying to wade through, the fear, the uncertainty, even though really, what do I want to do? Because people get a lot of ideas, and I've had a lot of them, and I'm glad I didn't follow probably all of them. But then I came to a point where I was like, you know what? It's now or never. And I never looked back. It's been awesome, even with the hard parts.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll get into that. Tell me about what was that. Do you remember what happened when you decided I'm doing it? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I had a very, very serious health scare, very serious. And I was a new mom to my second child. And it's funny how we kind of manifest these things in our life, even when they're happening unconsciously, not the trauma per se, but like I said, I'd always wanted to try something differently in my life and in my career. And I had a conversation over lunch with a friend when I was pregnant and before I went out on maternity leave that just said, oh, if I could just go on maternity leave, have my second child, and then, I don't know, get a severance package and ride off into the sunset, it would be awesome. And, I think my sights were always set on making that next move. And that's basically exactly what happened, minus the recovery part of the health scare that I'd had. And I was able to just take that jump. So it was probably a combination of, when hard things happen to us. For me, I had a heart attack that came out of nowhere. I wasn't at risk. I was young. I was a new mom. So when life just throws you those curveballs, for many of us who've been through any kind of trauma, the thing that actually becomes super easy is your focus on the things that really matter. And it was in that moment where I thought, you know what, if this is not going to be the thing that's going to push me to what I really want to do, I don't know what is. And it just came together, and I just went after it.
And what happened when you did that?
So when I did that, I'm one of these people that I would never say I'm a planner, but I love taking calculated risk. And so what basically I did was I kind of got out that pen and paper, and I was like, what is it going to take for me to kind of jump off this cliff right now in dollars and cents and brass tacks, and let me figure it out. And I had always been someone who had kind of a nest egg or things. I would like squirrel money away, and it was always a very cool thing. So I basically figured out, what does this look like? What does my life have to look like for me to take this chance? And I had created that. I had sequestered money. I had looked at my calendar and figured out, how can I do this with kids and all this other kind of thing. So then when the opportunity arose, I didn't know what was going to happen at that time, but I was able to take a risk into the unknown without like jumping completely, into a free fall. And I found for me, for my like psyche, that was really important as an entrepreneur, to feel like I had that safety net. And when I came out, I had so much momentum and I was so just excited for the opportunity, even though I had to balance that with taking care of my body. That internal momentum carried me, because it didn't come out with clients. And at the time I came out wanting to help people around their mindset and growing their business. But that actually quickly shifted into more like fundamental business, coaching and training. But it was rocky. I think the hardest part was honestly going from a very structured corporate environment where you're like kind of clocking in at 8 and leaving at 5. And now you have this wide open calendar. You just do all sorts of things with your day that are not necessarily moving you closer to your goals, even though you're like hell bent for glory about it.
It's a very common thing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And also I found because it was a blank canvas for me.
Right.
It's like, I can do whatever the hell I want now.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, but then there's far too many things I might be interested in doing. I didn't have a clear, I know what I'm going to be doing every day. Does that sound similar to you?
Yes, definitely not me either. Mm-mm. And I started to do all the things. And I think that was like a recipe for slow growth and burnout.
Yeah. And then I was curious about the health thing, because you've got that on top, because usually it's all systems go when, you're swimming in the deep end on your own. How did you manage that?
Yeah, to be honest, I was really terrified. I mean, because it had to do with my heart, my medical trauma. I would worry that, like, what happens if I stay up till 2:00 in the morning and push my body, or I'm getting nervous because I'm going on, a speaking thing. It was really terrible. It was like driving a fast car with the emergency brake pulled up, because you're in it and you want it, but you're so afraid. I think what it did though is it gave me the gift of discernment, which is so much of what I work with clients about with now. And I know you do this too, Mo. Like, you don't need to do all the things. It's okay to be interested in all of them and explore, like, what does that look like? But at the end of the day, I think when you figure out what you want and you can kind of drill into that, then there's a few key things that really move your business and make you feel good and in alignment. And I think because I had this sort of handicap at that time where I couldn't like overwork and throw myself full throttle into it because I was so nervous about that, it gave me the gift of having to choose. And what I found quickly was time spent on certain things made a bigger difference for me. And that was the same for my clients too. So yeah, it was a balancing act. And sometimes I wasn't doing it right, but I wasn't doing it so bad that I was like hurting myself. There was that guardrail.
Right. Well, I mean, it's life or death in some sense,
literally.
Right?
Yes.
You talked about it started with mindset and then it moved to business fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm very focused on personal development as opposed to business development, actually. But I couldn't sell personal development. Only when I started talking about I'll help you make money that people started paying me. Is that a similar thing to your shift, or tell us a bit more about why you went from mindset to business?
Yeah, that's interesting. I had no trouble selling mindset. It was actually, it was selling. I think in the area that I was working in, it was a lot of female entrepreneurs at the time. This idea, not just this general idea of mindset, but this idea that your thoughts can really shape the results in your life and that they're measurable. Because I tend to be a very like logical, linear thinker like that. My ability to have a framework that could help people measure that when they show up in a certain way, they were doing certain things that created results in their business actually was really powerful, and people like that. I think the thing that was missing that I saw a gap in the market with, and I couldn't ignore it, was that people could do that and they could see that they were astute to that internal game when we were working together. but there is also a framework and things that you need to do in order to actually make money in your business. And I felt like those pieces were missing. Like,
Yeah,
yep,
right.
we were on fire. They were getting the idea that they're in control and they had agency and all of those things. But then like the brass tacks of having, systems in place and a clear offer and all of those pieces, and then being able to measure that was missing. And people were making no money. And that was driving me nuts because I'm like, no, this is not, you are smart, you are capable, you are awesome. What the hell is going on here? We need to fix this. And we don't need to fix this with 17,000 solutions. We need to fix this with a simple framework that's going to get you where you need to go. And that's how it happened, really.
So super interesting this, because it's very similar to, I had they enjoyed the mindset
Yeah.
stuff and they got value from it, but I couldn't sell it
Yeah.
until how did you found it? How did you find it? Because I understand it's easy from the inside to say, oh, this is what I needed. But it's then convincing someone who has no idea about
What
that
it
work.
is.
How did you how did you position mindset just as that? I'll help you with your
Yeah.
mindset.
I actually had a podcast. So my podcast now is the It's Your Offer podcast. But when I started, it was actually called the Practical Mindset Podcast.
Oh, I see.
And it focused on this messaging and on this formula of, if you really can dial into what you're thinking and what you're doing, you can connect your results to your mindset. And then we had a lot of case studies and a lot of people that would come on and talk about those things. And I've done a lot of training, and I also have a lot of certifications with people who have been in that space. So I think it lended some credibility. The case studies, all that messaging was on point.
Yeah, right.
But if it wasn't with the outcomes, to your point, I had to tie it to a result
I think
that
so.
they wanted. Yeah.
I think so. And also, it's if you have the right mindset but the wrong framework, you're not going to make money. And if you have the right
Correct.
framework but the wrong mindset, you're not. It's like heart and soul,
That's right.
heart and hands. It's like maybe soul as well. Really,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I think maybe has helped me develop and my clients is it's more heart, mind, and soul.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, we start always with what do you really want and who
Yep.
really are you?
Yep.
And then we go to, well, how are you going to commit to this idea?
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
we go to what are the frameworks that are going to help you? Yeah. Okay, very cool. When did you know you made it? Because again, I'm making assumptions here, so maybe we need to clear those up first.
Mm-hmm.
If you're pivoting, that means something's wrong, either with your business or the results of the clients. And you already stipulated it was the latter, at least in the main, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've made a change and you
Yep.
started to focus on something else. When did you know this is working?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, I mean, I'm such a hard data person. It was data in two places. Like, number one, people were buying it. Like, sales are a very simple indicator. Like, do people want this thing? And I usually tell people, 5 to 10 people, you're good. Like, things are working. You have proof of concept.
Depending on how long. Depending on how long you got
right.
for 5 or 10 people. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. The other piece is like, how do you feel? Like, is it a hell yes for you? Are you lit up? I mean, I've done a lot of things, and I think for many of us who are high achievers, I mean, I really believe I could sell or do anything, but some of it is just grueling. So it's this intersection of like, is it working and are you lit up about it? And those are both data points, and people need to be mindful of them.
So is it selling, and does it light you up?
Yeah. Do you feel good? Do you have energy?
Both of us, really. Us and me and the clients.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not just them being lit up, right?
No, and actually, I would argue if it's your business, it's actually more about you.
I think so. Do you find that? I find that if I feel good about it, they tend to feel good about it, and vice versa. Do you find that as well?
For sure, energy is so contagious.
Oh, so
and
contagious.
It starts with you.
Even when I'm running a workshop and I feel like a break, I'll go, does everyone want a break? And usually they say yes in the chat. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. It's like you, especially when you're fully present and connected to the task at hand, the process.
Yeah, for sure. And you feel it from people, right? You can read the room.
Is there anything you would do differently if you had to start from scratch today?
Yeah, I would spend a lot less money in the beginning. I would be a lot more discerning about what I was spending my money on.
Tighter.
I think I always made good decisions about kind of like return on investment. That's just how my brain works. So I'm always asking myself, what is this worth? Or if I'm hemming and hawing over a cost, it's like, what is really is the cost of this? So I always view things through that lens. It's never just a like, oh yeah, I'll just buy that thing because it's calculated always. Um, but I think in the beginning, everything looked like a good idea. Like, oh yeah, I need to run Facebook ads now. I need to do all
Yeah,
these
yeah, right.
things.
Right.
And I don't think any of them were bad choices, but I think the timing of them could have been different.
Mm.
And you can burn through money, man, fast, really fast. And I think that's an adjustment coming out of a corporate environment where you're getting a paycheck every week and somebody else is controlling the expense, account.
It's a big thing, especially, I always have this, I've got this rule about I want 12 months of leeway,
Mm-hmm.
right? I want to be able to survive 12 months without income because I'm always worried. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about if something happens to me, a health
Mm-hmm.
scare, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm offline, if there's a storm, if there's a war, if there's you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was
Things happen.
initially 3 months because I was struggling it's like, fuck it, how do I get, and then 3 month buffer, yes. And then it was like, I want a 6 month buffer. And then I got the 6 month, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm aiming for 12 now. So I'm at 6 now and I'm trying to double it. And so
Yeah.
people are calling me and saying, I got this offer and I can help you in this way. And I'm like, it sounds so good, but I'm aiming. And I tell them that. And actually it's a really good way to fend off an offer. I say, look,
Yeah.
I'm trying, especially because I try to work with solopreneurs too,
Mm-hmm.
because, it's my tribe. It's like, why would I
Yeah.
give money to a company when I can give it to a solopreneur? So
Mm-hmm.
I say to them and I explain it to them and they go, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah, yeah. Go and get your 12-month buffer and then we'll talk. And it's like, it's really because they get it.
They do.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Totally.
How do you know? And obviously, some people have a partner who has an income coming in, which is always helpful. A lot of my clients, actually, they're partners in a full-time role, a good
Mm-hmm.
one usually, which means that
Mm-hmm.
they have a bit more leeway. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
very hard for someone solo, fully relying on themselves to come and pay me thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How,
Mm-hmm.
how do you stand on that? The financial
Yeah.
safety net. How do you what's your strategy on that?
Oh yeah. When I was growing up, I came from a family of a lot of children, and we really didn't want for anything. But money was it was believed like money does not grow on trees. And I watched my parents, just live under the normal pressures of money. And when I grew up, I was like, I am never going to worry about money. Of course, that's such a fallacy because even when you have money, you worry about money. But when I first started, even my relationship with my husband and my business, I always was sequestering money into a place I couldn't touch it so that I had that nest egg like you talked about.
Mm,
Doesn't take away your money fears because the goalpost just moves and you still worry about money on some level, but even if the money's there. But there's this part of your lizard brain that knows you're not on zero. So you're not going to starve or die if something happens. But I really do believe that, that ability to, have the money there and feel good about it is important. And when I first started my business, I actually did not have a business credit card or anything. I actually paid everything through PayPal. So all my invoices and everything were through PayPal.
mm.
And I would only be able to spend the money that I had in that account.
Got it.
And I didn't understand exactly what I was doing at the time. It was just like that was the business medium that I had financially. So I just used it. But I realized that I spent so much of those beginning years not having any debt around my business. And I've since have a Chase business credit card now, and you could call that debt and all the things, um, but I still kind of operate through the same principle. So to your point, I pay myself first. There's money sequestered that comes off the top every single month. That's what I did in corporate too. And if there's money left, the decision to spend that money is based on the strategy that I need for the company and not whether I like you or this thing sounds good because I like
Right.
everybody and everything sounds good. Um,
My problem.
and yeah.
I like working with people. Also, I used to work with teams. I built my own companies, and so I sometimes just want people around me.
Yeah, for sure.
And the smarter those people, the more expensive they are.
Correct. And it's worth it.
Yeah, it's depending on
Right.
whether
You got
it's
to reverse engineer it, just like you were
yeah,
saying
you have to
earlier.
reverse it 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so you made it as a solopreneur, and
Hmm.
then you're here today, and you're looking healthy, and I hope you are
I
fully
am.
healthy.
Thank you.
What's the next level for Jessica Miller?
Yeah. So I think I shared with you in one of our conversations that I, pivoted my business. So every time I see these gaps in the market, I pivot. And I was, running business growth consult coaching type groups. And I was working very much focused on people's offers. So their products and services that they have in their company. And that was awesome. It was fun. It kind of leaned into that flair mentality of these short stints. Um, but then my clients started to grow and they started to get bigger. And so I moved more into a consulting role where the outcome really is about the business. It's benevolence for the business result and not so much focused on the individual. And that's been very cool. I think I did everything that I would tell my clients not to do, which is like, oh, okay, I'm sort of gonna put this thing over here and I'm gonna like jump headfirst into this other thing. And I'm always like, oh no, you don't have to jump off a cliff. And of course I did. And it was a wild ride, even knowing like, okay, you're shutting off that faucet and turning this one on a little bit. It's gonna take a little time, to watch your revenue shift and all the thoughts in your head, like you and I were talking about earlier, come screaming in at you. Yeah, it was a little bit of a rocky road. The last, when I did this, I think I started doing that about 18 to 20 months ago. When I pivoted to consulting work more than coaching work. And, yeah, it was crazy. It's leveled out. I've got great consulting clients and I do still do, offer work, but everything is changing in the market too, right? AI is on board where people are talking about that all the time. So I think the best thing about having a sort of a digital business is you don't have all the overhead. It's awesome. But I think the downside is that you have to iterate, you have to stay ahead of the curve.
Mm.
So right now I'm in the process of doing that and looking at, the systems and following that hell yes. And just figuring out how to stay in front of making it unique and making it valuable and fun and enjoyable for everybody. So that's where we're at right now.
So the next step is what? What
I
is
think the
that? How
next
would you
step,
summarize that?
yeah, I would say the next step probably is, filling the company to capacity, basically filling my roster, selling out of
I
my
see.
consulting seats. Um, and then
Hitting.
figuring out how do you keep it fun? Like what else can you add on? Like I do some premium retreats. We have one that's going to be coming up. And those are great. Those are like immersive containers, same formula, but different way of, sharing with people.
Hmm.
So thinking through like what does that look like where we can just keep it simple though. You and I have talked about this a lot. I don't want to sell 14 different offers. I don't want 75 different work streams. I'm a big believer that you're profitable and you're sane when you keep things simple and on point.
Hmm.
And I want to do that with my business as well. So that's what we're looking toward.
Very clear. What's going to stop that from happening? What are the challenges?
I would say the challenge is if I just go down that road of overcomplicating it, like we were saying, I think the discernment is really important when we're buying things and adding things to our business. But like everybody, there's so much information and things being thrown in your path. It's really easy to be like, oh, what about that? Maybe I should start a newsletter, or maybe I should build an AI bot. You start to kind of get pulled into that undercurrent. And I think that will slow me down if I start to go down that road. I don't think I need to go there. But it's hard sometimes.
How would you protect yourself from going down that road?
That's a really good question. I mean, I lean a lot on my mentors. Just as a kind of sanity check. I don't do anything out of the gate without thinking it through and making sure that it's connecting to the things that are already in my business. I think one of the dangers a lot of entrepreneurs have, and I've been guilty of this too, is you can really fracture your funnel without realizing you're doing it because something sounds good or you can see an opportunity and you could start running with that and realize it's not connected easily to anything else you're doing in your business. It sounds great, but it's actually a slightly different avatar or they're at a much different point on their journey. And you end up like having a really big lift around things and it's not profitable. So I think for me, it's making sure I have that gut check with my mentors, mapping it out, and then always feeling into the energy. Like if I have to do this for the next, 12 months or if I have to add this on to what I'm doing, is it still going to be fun? Am I still going to enjoy it? And sometimes the answer is no. Actually, I would say 85% of the time, the answer is no. So
If it's not a hell yes, it should be a no.
That's right. That's yes. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. Yeah, absolutely.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Hormozy does this thing with his the companies that he buys when he has the board meetings. He'll meet with the CEO and say, what's working? And they would say, LinkedIn outreach. And he'd say, can you do more of that? And they'd say, yes. And he'd say, go and do more of that then. Board meeting over.
Yeah.
And I think this is an important thing for people listening, particularly because Jessica's talking about how do you map things out. I like the 12-month as well. I always say to Sarah, we're going to commit for another 12 months together. And we're going to commit to a strategy. And strategy is really, where am I going to put my focus? That's all a strategy is. It's like, where's my effort going to go? And the effort should be in growing your business in a way that feels aligned and fun and engaged. And a list that. And it's like, okay, so what can I do to grow my business in a way that feels aligned and engaged? And you want it to be the minimum things that, right?
Correct.
You want it to be the minimal things. And usually if something's working, do more of it. And if something isn't working, stop doing it.
Yeah.
And if you can't do more of something that's working, then find the next thing that might work with it.
Yes.
And I think that's what you're talking about there.
Yeah. And optimizing it, I would say, Mo, because I think that the other part of the problem that people have is they build something or they're doing something and then they inadvertently like tear it apart and start over, or they add something on that's totally new that they don't have any data for. Like iterating is so different than overcomplicating and adding on another work stream. I mean, a work stream that's adjacent to something is one thing. Taking something that you love, that you have data around, and optimizing that so it works better is a whole different lift and a different thing than, crashing and burning and rebuilding. So much harder.
100%. What are you most afraid of in the next, in terms of your solopreneurship I'm talking about? What are you most afraid of in the next 12 months?
That's a great question. I guess if I'm really being honest, like I think the most thing that I would be afraid of would be like something coming out of left field that I wouldn't see, maybe the unknown. So, we talked a lot about, building the systems and nailing things down and feeling like, okay, you've got this thing and now you're never in a place of homeostasis, but you kind of feel like you're there. And then something random comes out of left field that you couldn't see. That uncertainty always makes me nervous, but I think the thing that gets me through that is you cannot control for those things, but you can control enough to be able to sort of weather that storm. And I think if you can do that, you're okay. So I think it would probably be that.
Stephen Covey says accountability leads to responsibility.
The
more you take, I love that. The more you take care of the controllables, the more you can deal with the uncontrollables. I think that's a good way to summarize that. Okay. This was a cool conversation. We started with talking about the outcome, right? Care about the outcome is what you said. Actually, I wrote that down because I'm like, that's what I tell all my clients. No one cares about anything else. And you talked about how from corporate America, there's a different outlook on outcome, obviously, to you being solo and you being in charge and you actually creating your own pathway to your own outcomes. Which is why you were driven to do that, and how that heart attack quite young, and being pregnant allowed you to make that decision in some sense. And you've been talking about calculated risks throughout, really. I think this is an important thing. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are not risk averse at all. It's like, let's just fucking go. But it sounds like, and again, being a mother and having the health issue and being in corporate America helps you with those. I think that's an important thing to think about. If I am averse to risk, how do I protect myself from making the wrong decisions, actually? And you talk later about leaning on mentors, and I think that's super important. And then you talked about this I wrote down internal momentum, because I think that's an important thing to think about too. Momentum is not just external. It's not just what's happening outside of you. It's what you're generating internally. Urgency, I always say, is generated internally. Not, I'm looking for urgency in the client. No, the urgency has to come from you. And then we talked about mindset and how you were helping people with their mindset, and then how it shifted to business fundamentals, because even though this practical mindset idea was valuable, there, without the framework and without them getting the results they needed for their businesses, what's the point of doing it? And so we talked about how to bring the two together, and then heart, mind, body, soul idea. And then the two factors that told you your pivot was working were, is it selling, and does it light me up? Does it light them up? Does it light me up? I asked you, if you started again, what you would do. You said you'd be tighter with money, smarter with money, wouldn't go into debt. I think this is super important for anyone starting out. And then we talked about next level, and you talked about how you've pivoted 18 months ago or so, because you identified another gap. You went from coaching to consulting. You kept iterating to try and stay ahead of the curve. You're trying to navigate AI and all these changes and what people want. And ultimately, your goal is, how do I hit capacity while having fun? While keeping things simple, which I think are great goals. I would say, if I started again, those would be my three goals too. How do I hit my capacity while having fun and keeping things simple? And I think the advice at the end was good. If you have mentors, lean on them. If you don't, find them. Stay vigilant. Think about, what's my life going to look like if I make this decision? 12 months, I think, is reasonable. I don't think we need to go beyond that. In the next 12 months, how's my life going to change? If I start a podcast, if I enter this area, if I build a website, if I do retreats, what do I need to be able to make that happen the way I want it to? Because you said fracture your funnel. That was another thing I wrote down, like, don't fracture the funnel. If something's working, keep the integrity of that while building around it. I think that's super cool. And then we ended really with the fear of the unknown. Like, we don't know what could disrupt us, but we try to prepare for that in the best way we can. And I think that's sound advice too. Is there anything you want to say as you heard me go through that? Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to clarify? Anything you want to say to summarize it?
I think I need to call you when I want to synthesize all the things that I say all day long. That was awesome. I was like, I did say that, didn't I?
Is that how would you summarize that, or like, how would you want to leave it?
Yeah, I think, I think in short, being an entrepreneur, it's awesome. This is the best time ever to be an entrepreneur, and shit happens. It does. It's going to all the time. So I think the ability to really, do the things you want to do, go after what you love, keep it as simple as you can so you have that flex in your life and in your energy, sequester that money, do the things that you need to do to have that, that reality that gives you peace of mind, but then go and do the things that you want to do in the smartest way that you can. And there are so many smart people like you, like others, that people can lean on to do that in a way that's going to really be valuable and get them to their goal faster. I think a strong business built around something you love, that I call like a hell yes offer, is everything. If you have something you enjoy doing all the time, and it calls in those people you really like to work with, and you can do it easily, and it can pay you great money, and you have a big impact. I mean, to me, that's living the dream. And you can pivot, which is also the other part of it. It's like, we live in a world now where you can do that pretty easily. So the sky really is the limit. People should lean into it.
We're not in an oil tanker. We're on a jet ski.
Right.
So we can change direction very quickly.
Exactly.
Amazing. Where can people find you, and who do you want to reach out to?
Yeah, so I am on all the interwebs. My website's jessicamillercoaching.com. I also hang around on LinkedIn a lot, which is how I met you, Mo, which is proof it's working. And I spend a lot of time there and on Instagram. Both of those handles are Jessica Diaguardi Miller. We can put that in the show notes because it's hard to spell. But the people that I am looking for are the people that are really passionate about their work. They have a company, they're an entrepreneur, and they want to do things more simply. They want to really lean into what you said. What is working? How do we optimize that? How do we grow with ease? And most of these people have done all the hard work already. So a lot of that opportunity is sitting right there in front of them. So if you don't want to build more complexity in your life and have a heavier lift, those are the people I really like to talk to.
Amazing. And then there's something on your website that you think might be useful for them?
Yes. And as I was mentioning earlier about this idea, like if you have something people really want that's binge worthy, like you are 90% of the way to, fame and where you want to go, which is your offer. On jessicamillercoaching.com, there's something I call the offer scorecard. And you can go in there and just you answer a few questions and it will tell you how your offer is performing. Like, is it a hell yes? Are there pieces that need to be optimized? And then it will tell you how to do that. So it's very quick and easy, valuable. It'll give you things that you may not be seeing. And then we always offer to people if they want to talk through those results, we offer a link for them to jump on a call with us. But it's fast, it's powerful. It'll give you momentum around your offer.
Very cool. I really enjoyed having you on here, and I really enjoyed spending more time with you. And I appreciate you giving up some of your day to do this. I really do.
Always. It was great to be here. Thanks so much, Mo.
Alrighty. See you soon. The difference between surviving and thriving often comes down to a single shift in perspective. Maybe today's conversation sparked something for you, or maybe it confirmed what you already knew. I'm going to keep exploring what it takes to reach the next level. For more solopreneur stories, hit subscribe. And if you know someone who'd be perfect for the team of one, please introduce us on LinkedIn. See you next time. Peace.